I'm at an area, and the reason that I wanted to bring you up here today, it's nearby where I live, but more importantly, it's on the edge of town, and it is a very historical site in itself, because in the Depression era, and I guess throughout the 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, there was what was known as a shanty town here. So the very, I guess, poorest of the poor formed a settlement here, and families were raised in the bush here. And, you know, a lot of Second World War veterans also had houses here. It used to be known as, I think it was Laurel Valley. I'll put that in there, or Laurel Town, because a lot of the houses were made out of a particular, the oil that came in tins there was known as, I think it was laurel oil, and so they would make their houses out of tins. All sorts of characters lived here. So it will be interesting from the point of view, I guess, of those who lived here and died here, shanty town, to walk up through the bush, which would have been their front and their backyards, many children being raised here, and take a look, as well as taking a look at the Australian bush generally. Okay, so I'm walking up one of the roads, I guess, that was an entrance at the time to Shantytown, as it was known, and all around me you can see this. I guess it's a typical example of Australian bush in the region, certainly southeastern region, some of the southeastern region, about 2 hours outside of Sydney. As we move further southwest, we move into really lush green farming land. But you can see that, yeah, lots of roads off this particular road leading to, I guess this was at one point an area where mountain bike riders, motorbike riders came, four-wheel drivers, but it has since been shut off for that kind of activity. Not shut off for bushwalking though, so, or push bikes. So here we are making our way. I'm not sure what the significance of the red tree is. Maybe it's a marker to mark the track. Okay, in the distance you can see the beautiful yellow of the wattle. That's W-A-T-T-L-E. The wattle trees here in Australia, and they're everywhere. If I pan across, you'll see just how prolific these particular wattle are native to Australia, and just how prolific they are. Okay, oh, it looks like over there in the distance, this is a bit of an exploration video, but I can see, not sure, I'll pan in, it looks like a tent. Looks like someone's been camping up here, or indeed is still camping up here. So you wouldn't know, because this is an area that's not regularly policed. I'll just see if I can come in there. See that blue material there? It looks like it's been a shelter at some point. So you can see the beautiful ghost gums there. The ghost gums are the really white trees, and they contrast so beautifully with that blue sky. Unfortunately, it's a little bit windy today. So, but all that will be solved once my wind muffler arrives from the shops, the online shops. So, oh dear, the wattle is just everywhere. Okay, so we're walking up what was an original road into Shantytown, and As I said, it looks like someone has or is camping here still. Okay. Up in the distance you can see telecom towers, so satellite communication, mobile towers. Australia's a very, very vast land, and communications, isolation has been one of our biggest challenges as the land became colonised and we spread out into what is, as I said, a very, very vast land. Okay, I'm reliably informed that there were a couple of houses in this area where you're seeing that reddish kind of dirt. Some of you will ask me why the wattle trees have black trunks, and I think they are actually known as black wattle trees. Not all wattle trees will have these black, what looks like bird trunks, but that's just the way they come. Now the area that I'm panoramaing around was an area of houses, where the houses were. If you look up to where that rock is, this was also the site of a home. So where you're seeing this kind of long grass, you could imagine that this was people's front yards. And as I said, the shanty town community was extremely a close one. Okay, so just down there, the roads are still really visible. So the roads that they used and the tracks that they used are still here. Okay, you can just make out what looks like the yellow there might be another campsite. It looks like it is a campsite. So this place was for returned veterans that came back from World War II without anything at all. It was for families that were trying to make a go of things. But it seems that not much has changed, in that some people, maybe homeless people, are still camping up here. You can just see a butterfly. I'm not sure if you can catch that, but it is spring here, and you can hear the crows, and you can see that crow. Sorry, I wanted to catch him, but he's gone out of our view. You can see the crows as well. Apparently this road looks pretty much like it used to look, even though it's not used, back in the 40s and 50s. I just want to show you these very, very thick ghost gums here. You really wouldn't know with the thickness of that bush who was where. Okay, what's on the menu? So we've got some ham, we've got lots of cheese, there's camembert and brie, there's pickles there, we've got pumpkin seed bickies, low carb, we've got fruit, berries, nuts, and of course, where would we be, or what's a picnic without a thermos of tea? Enjoy. Okay, back again. You can see the remains of a mouth organ here. This is where someone, I think, had their home. We've come up upon what looked like a camp, but I don't think anyone is there at the moment. And I'm just going to follow this trail through, because I think there's a few things here for us to see. You can see we're coming up against up upon those black wattle trees. Okay. I would hope, so you can see that there's been things dumped here, or I'm just not sure how old the stuff is here, but some of it would date right all the way through to Shanty Town. I'm sincerely hoping, walking through all this long grass, that there are no, what we call in Australia, Joe Blakes, which is code for snakes. Now here, I'll just get out so you can see it, is an old bike frame. So as I said, many kids were raised here amongst the families of Shanty Town. And quite sad that it was bulldozed. They were basically evicted and the whole place was bulldozed. I think if a fire went through here, there's that camp. You can see, looks like an old lounge there, a wheelbarrow, an old wheelbarrow. But if a fire went through here, because so many families lived on this hill in this bush, you would find a lot of treasure. I'll just call it treasure. Remnants from their lives. You know, I spoke years and years ago, I interviewed someone who used to live here, and you can see an old bed frame there. And one of the things they said was that as a child they would go to school and all the school kids would look down upon them because they were from Shanty Town, but they couldn't understand why they would look down upon them, because for them this was an absolutely magical place to grow up. Okay, so I found a little piece, I think, of Shanty Town. I remember at the beginning of the video I talked about it being known as Laurel Town. I wasn't quite sure. Oil, building houses from oil cans. It was actually Laurel kerosene. And we think that this might be an original part of one of the houses that were built out of Laurel kerosene tins. A little bit of someone's house left over on this original track into Shanty Town. Just wanted to show you a she oak tree and let you listen to the sound if you can hear it. These often grow beside water courses. I grew up with she oaks all around the perimeter of my backyard, so I love the sound. Okay, so I've finished my lunch and I'm just sitting here in the quiet of the bush. The wind is picking up, so if the camera is moving, that's why. I've just got it on a tripod, so hopefully it's not shaking too much. I just want to pause for a minute. You know what I'm getting? Because I want to ask, what is the bush? What messages does the bush, does the spirit of the bush, does the spirit of the ancestors, perhaps Australia's first people who lived here, perhaps the people who lived in Shantytown, those that died here, what messages do they want to give me? And immediately I got, everything has a heart. There is a heart in everything, every living thing. There is the heart. What is the heart? The heart is the connection to the divine life force, or to the life force, the thing that makes it grow, bend, survive, adapt. The energy, the energetic presence of every living thing. The heart or the essence of that energy. And, you know, sometimes that essence or that energy within us, it gets muddled, it gets shifted around, it gets knocked off course, it gets buffeted. And one of the ways that we can find our way back to health and well-being is connecting, nurturing, lovingly embracing and caring for that essence of our life force. Everything has a heart, and extending that heart to ourselves, and extending that nurturing to ourselves. And sometimes that means facing harsh truths, and there's a lot of fear there that will stop us doing that. We've all been through trauma one way or another. So I'm just tuning into the silence here. Almost like a beat, a light filtering through the trees back there. I said they were ghost gums. There's also snappy gums there as well for anyone who's watching and thinking, what are you doing? There's snappy gums there. Of course there is. All right, so I just want to pull some cards around what is it that the bush has to tell us. So I have the Five of Wands. There's a reason why this card is associated with obstacles and challenges. Because we're so busy competing, we're so busy yelling at one another, fighting one another to get our point of view across. We're yelling. Sometimes people put all caps in my comment section. I don't know if they've even listened to the video, but they're trying to tell me something that they feel very passionately about, and sometimes some of that passion can come from a wound. And so that's why there are always obstacles and challenges associated with the Five of Wands, because it's not a harmonious flow of energy at all. And it's also a card that we learn from. Here's the love here, the Ten of Cups, unconditional love. Tens are there in the tarot for a reason, because they mark an ending of a cycle. And that Ten of Cups is particularly auspicious because it means we've learnt the real meaning of love. Unconditional love. The Page of Swords. This reminds me of somebody who is always, taking a jab at us one way or another. Rarely are we perfect, except for maybe the Dalai Lama. And so those jabs that we feel are there to teach us, there to reunite us with the essence of who we are. We are meant to be nurtured. We are meant to be loved unconditionally. Everybody has that right. But far too often we're defending ourselves. And this comes to what we do to nature as well. That we place our flaws, we pass that on to nature, and we make nature live with our flaws. Because if we were wise, we'd be nurturing nature as well. If we understood the real value of nurturing, we'd be nurturing what is around us. We'd be nurturing this beautiful bush and the blue pristine sky that is here as well. Nine of Pentacles. We always want our freedom and independence, but we're always looking toward the pentacle. Money. what makes us, it needn't necessarily be money, it can be what makes us feel secure. We're always looking for that almost elusive reason to declare that we're free. But we've always got to topple something else in order for us to be free, when really freedom is all around us. 10 of Wands. But we rarely have the time or the patience to look for it. One more. Queen of Pentacles seems a fitting closing out to this reading. She is the Earth Mother. She does bring forward stability one way or another. I'm quite fascinated with the Titanic as to why that happened. I've been looking at the astrology and I want to try and make contact with the captain. But what little research I've done so far tells me that that huge ocean liner with all those passengers left Southampton full of arrogance, having conquered the sea. And yet in the astrology chart, one of the huge influences there is the predominance of water, of Neptunian energy. And I feel a bit like that with COVID as well. That we think that we can conquer Mother Earth, and yet Mother Earth is always teaching us those lessons one way or another. So the messages coming today are all about change and all about self-realization and learning the meaning of unconditional love.